Good evening and welcome to General Council for August 12th, 2025. Let's do the attendance roll call. Before we get started, Amos Key is unable to attend tonight, and also Helen Miller is off on vacation. Go ahead.
Carrie Bunbury.
Audrey Paulus Bunbury.
Dale Bunbury.
Dean Hill.
Greg Fraser.
Hazel Johnson. Melba Thomas.
Elena Benevery. Cynthia Jameson. Okay, and I'm not sure Leslie will be joining. Okay, let's go to number 2, identification of media. I don't see any. Let's go to number 3, community acknowledgements. Let's take a moment of silence to remember those that we have recently lost. Let's take a moment. Okay, thank you. Let's go to number 4, adoption of the agenda. Any additions or deletions? If not, can I have a mover? Moved by Carrie, second by Audrey. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Adoption of the General Council minutes of July 22nd, 2025. Is there a mover? Moved by Elena, seconder. Second by Audrey. Any questions or comments? See none. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none. Carried. Let's go to number 6, delegations and presentations. So we have Brian Porter. Yep. Coming up from 2 row. So we'll get it on the screen for you, your presentation. We'll put that on the screen for you.
Thank you.
And then you have 20 minutes, and then or 5 to 10 minutes for questions.
Okay, yeah, I've got a presentation that I gave on May 12th at the Ontario First Nations Technical Service Corporation. And it does a pretty good job, I think, of illustrating the project. This invitation to come to present to council came via Public Works when we applied to get a water service for the upcoming apartment building.
Oh, just before, can you just remove your hat?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Even it's an arrows hat?
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a few hard copies. I think I brought 10, so maybe, I'm not sure.
Some of them have it on their laptop, but if anyone wants a hard copy, Brooke, can you help him with the hard copies to hand them out? Or Natasha, yeah. There you go. Thank you. So if you want to introduce yourself and
I'm Brian Porter. I'm the principal of Turo Architect, established 1992, headquartered Six Nations of the Grand River with satellite offices in Toronto and Calgary. Member of the United Nations, born and raised Six Nations. So the project that I want to talk about today is this apartment building that we're building on 4th Line, in the front part of where the grow up is on 4th Line. It's been in the news a lot. We've named the project Anita, which means sort of like crescent moon, and you'll see the relevance of that, I think, soon as we get into this presentation. As I said, this was something that I gave to the delegation at the Tech Service Conference in May. I'm going to go through this pretty quick, I think, because I want to try to leave as much time as I can for Q&A at the end. So this is the table of contents, meet the team, 3D printed housing, reason, inspiration, project, location, and timeline. Next, please. So this is the team. It's a 50-50 split between Turo Architect and Horizon Legacy. Horizon Legacy is owned by Tony He's a guy from Toronto that kind of cut his teeth doing mostly apartment buildings. That's how he sort of got wealthy. Tony Swig, and then he got into renewable energy projects. So he did solar PV projects for a while, and now he's getting into this robotics with 3D printed housing. Next, please. There's the people from my office that have been mostly involved with this. Linda Johnson for finance, Ryan Lindo, local architect from Smithville that's been with us for a couple of years, and Jake Smith's been doing a lot of the drafting, so that's our team. Next, please. And this is kind of a snapshot of some of the communities that we've worked with in Ontario. It's not all of them, but it's most of them. So we kind of pride ourselves in being contracted. If there's 133 First Nation communities in Ontario, we've probably been contracted by 50 or 60 of them over the years, from I think pretty much everyone south of Parry Sound, but we worked in the Kenora area, Ottawa, James Bay, and the most northerly community, Fort Severn, which the Severn River flows into Hudson's Bay, so it's up there. But I think from this experience, it gives us a pretty good handle to understand the different political organizations. We meet a lot with the different tribal councils. So I think this gives us a pretty good foundation to kind of work in First Nation communities across Ontario. Next, please. These are the people from Legacy. You can see Tony Swig there. His CEO, Nyang Nguyen, is here a lot. And some of the other people that they've got working for them. Some of them are international because a lot of the technology behind 3D printed concrete, more is happening probably in other countries than it is right now in Canada. So like Ilios, for example, he's in Cyprus, but he's still involved in the project. And if there's any questions, I don't know if it's better to interrupt, but I'll leave that.
We'll let you finish your presentation.
Next, please. Okay, so this is Horizon Legacy. In the left-hand side, you can see a project that they did in Gananoque. Image on the top right is kind of what the robot looks like. You can kind of see the nozzle. And what it basically does is it prints concrete in layers of about 20 millimeters high and about 50 millimeters wide. Next, please. So this gives you kind of a close-up of what it looks like. The image on the left might be interesting because you can see there's spaces between the inside Ys and the outside Ys that are printed. And what that does is it provides space for liquid insulation to be poured into that cavity. So when you're done with the 3D printing and the liquid insulation is poured and cured, you've got a wall that's structural. It's got a lot of thermal mass. It performs well from a building envelope and insulation standpoint. So that's one of the reasons why we're kind of interested in it. Like over the years, we've worked with structural insulated panels. We've worked with modular construction. Like I'm always interested in these technologies. I think about 1995, I realized that if we wanted to contribute to the chronic housing shortage on reserves, you can't really do it as an architect. You have to kind of like roll up your sleeves, get involved with manufacturing, find ways that can kind of drive the prices down. So this is kind of why we got interested in this partnership with these guys. Next, please. And of course, we all know, what's going on in some of the remote communities in the north. They keep building these R2000 houses out of studs and drywall. They last maybe 3 or 4 years. Houses designed for 5 or 6 people have to accommodate 15, 16. You get high interior moisture content, the drywall rots, you get mold, but it's still like the feds still seem to be interested in perpetuating a technology that doesn't work. So we see this as a way to kind of combat that a bit. Next, please. And again, I think we've all seen this kind of thing from places like Attawapiskat, Saskatchewan. Again, these R2000 houses don't work. One of the things that we're interested in with the 3D printed concrete is that it's robust. The concrete won't promote mold growth. It's non-combustible, so it can't burn down, so it's a lot safer. So again, these are some of the reasons why we're kind of interested in these new technologies. Next, please. And draw the circle, like if you look at where the housing is in Canada, everybody's pretty interested in the border between Canada and the US, but there's that whole area of Canada that no one's interested in building housing in. So we're doing the pilot project here at Six Nations, but this is really the target area for this new construction. We want to try to solve this and get developments done in some of these places that have short construction schedules, lots of unemployment in the wintertime. So the idea would be if we can print these 3D printed envelopes in some of these communities, we could extend the construction season from maybe the 2 or 3 months that they have now, maybe into 8 or 9 months a year. So that's part of what we're thinking about with this project. Next, please. We also took some inspiration from some of the traditional indigenous architecture that I get inspired by. Cliff Palace out in Colorado, where it's sort of built in the side of this cliff. It faces due south, so it takes advantage of passive solar heating. When the sun is high in the sky in the summertime, the brow of the cliff basically puts the whole development in shade. As the sun drops in the wintertime, it opens up the development so that it can get, again, access to the beneficial passive solar from the sun. So I take a lot of inspiration from this stuff. Next, please. This is another one, Pueblo Bonito, that I like. If you take a look at it, the access across the bottom is directly on the east-west axis. So this housing development acts like a giant sundial. And the other thing that it does is across the arc, across the back, it's higher. So it's almost like it's turning its back to the prevailing wind. Again, it's opening up itself out to the south. All of the communal areas are kind of at front, and there's nothing that, there's no contemporary architecture that competes with this. This is still the best stuff in North America. Next, please. So when we were putting our drawings together, we wanted to kind of draw some inspiration from that. This is an exploded axonometric of our project. So you can see it's 3 stories, slab on grade. The area at the bottom is the ground floor, and you can see how as we go up, we're stepping in to create these outdoor terraces that will be shared amenities for the tenants. We're at about, you can see the area that we're targeting there. It's a little over 21,000 square feet. We're working with a construction budget of about 6.2 million, which equates to $290 a square foot, which is pretty competitive these days. We've got a unit mix. There's 14 one-bedroom, 6 one-bedroom barrier-free, and 10 studios. That's what comprises the unit mix. So we're 30 in total. Next. This is what the ground floor looks like. It's served by kind of like 2 stair towers that are kind of at the 3rd points. It's a single loaded corridor, and like some of that traditional architecture, the wall that faces north is fairly solid. It's got a few windows in it, but it's mostly solid, and we're trying to get all of our glass on the south side, again, to take advantage of passive solar heat gain. Next. This is the 2nd floor. Again, you can see how it steps back, the corners step in. We'll have 2 pretty generous kind of roof terraces on this floor level, again, that all of the residents will be able to access. Next, please. And that's the 3rd floor, and it steps back again. So all the units are stacked vertically, so all of the demising walls line up. All of the studios kind of line up. You can see this tan color here is a 1-bedroom. The blue color is a studio space. Each of them have their own dedicated washrooms. So that's kind of what the thing looks like. This is a bit of a blow up of one of the one-bedroom units. So you can kind of see it's got its own bathroom, a fairly generous bedroom, kind of a galley-style kitchen, and they get lots of glass on the south side. Next. This is one of the one-bedroom barrier-free units. So we've got all of our turning radiuses. So if someone's in a wheelchair, all of the doors are wide enough. There's room to get a wheelchair in. We went with roll-in showers for these units. And we're going to go complete with electric heat pumps, kind of what you see in some of the latest sort of hotels and motels. So no fossil fuel fired appliances, everything's electric. And that's kind of in keeping with trying to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions with this. Next, this is one of the studios. So you can kind of see how that works. This is some of what's capable with this 3D printed concrete. You can actually adjust the rate of flow out of the nozzle to incorporate some of these patterns. So we're kind of interested in that too. We're probably going to go with a basket weave on fourth line, something that we're taking inspiration from the traditional baskets. And we're looking at using concrete stain to kind of highlight some of the strands that incorporate the basket weave. Next, please. So these were some of the inspirations, again, that we looked at for how we wanted to do the outside printing. This is, it kind of gives you an idea of the north facade. Again, this is the one that's pretty solid that faces north. So we're trying to keep the windows fairly small, vertical. We want to get some natural light into those single loaded corridors, but we want to keep the apertures pretty narrow. Next. So this, you can see sort of the north elevation, again, mostly solid, and then the south at the bottom, it's mostly glass. East and west elevations. It's kind of hard to read these because it's curved, right? So it's kind of hard to depict these things accurately, but you can kind of see the roof terraces there on both levels. This is a few of the renderings that we put together for this. How am I doing for time here? Close? I think we're just about done. So so this is a few slides on location, right? So one of the reasons why we like Six Nations is at any given time, most of the First Nation chiefs fly through Pearson Airport, and I think it's important for them to be able to touch it, be able to feel it. So to have a pilot project, basically an hour and a half from Pearson, we think it's an ideal spot to kind of share this technology, share the idea. Next, please. Next. So this is, you guys know where this is. But I added this slide for the Tech Service Corp. Next. So we really like our proximity. So this is the development schedule. We're looking at trying to get as much of the 3D printing done before Christmas this year. If all goes well, we'd be looking at occupancy sort of next December, next January. So that's a little bit about where it is, what it looks like, why we're doing it.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Is there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Cynthia.
I do believe I read correctly. Every unit is either a one bedroom or a condo
Studio.
or studio. Sorry, studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did note the overcrowding and such in one of these slides. What was the rationale for that?
I think just because it's a pilot project, so we wanted to get a lot of units. And the other thing we found in the community is there's very few places for seniors to go or couples that have been married and maybe want to spend time in the south. So the idea was if we could give them an option, maybe that would free up their houses for their kids to kind of move into, and we'd be able to address families that way. But again, this is just the first one. We're hoping to do many more. But yeah, we focused on that.
Yep, go ahead. Yep, okay, go ahead, Alina.
What are the plans for the water and wastewater?
The water, we made an application to Public Works to tie in with a 4-inch line. And when we made the application, that's when Mike Montour said, you've been asked to present to council. So that's why we're here. For sewage, we want to use a system similar to what you guys are using at the Stone Ridge subdivision. Or that you're also using at Emily C. School or I.L. Thomas School. Basically a peatland system. So everything will get dealt with on site, the same way that you guys are doing it. Those systems have been holding up pretty well, I think. And it's something that you can service too, right? I think the peat just got switched out at the Stone Ridge subdivision a couple of years ago. And it had been in place for like 15 years or so, so it performed pretty well. So we want to use a similar system.
Okay, go ahead, Audrey.
Second, Brian. Just a couple questions. What are you gonna be using for the roof?
The roof?
Yes, on top.
The roof that's occupied, it's gonna be, we're gonna put a membrane down over the concrete deck, then, 4-inch or so insulation, then we wanna use a concrete paver on top on pedestals, so it'll take a live load. And then the uppermost would be probably similar to what you have here, just a ballasted EPDM membrane roof.
Okay,
That's what we're
and
proposing.
what about between the floors, like for noise level, between your neighbor
Yeah.
above you?
We're using something called Com Slab, which is produced by Bailey Metals. So it's a metal deck that's about 8.5 inches deep. And over that 8.5 inches, it gets a 2.5-inch concrete topping, and we're getting STC ratings in the range of like 50, 55 with that. So it's far superior to wood. So we think it's going to perform well from both a structural and acoustic standpoint. Part of what I've been saying to the guys at Horizon is, if you want to sell this product to other communities, you have to be able to deliver a complete envelope. So I'm saying like the slab on grade, the 3D printed demising walls, the floor system, you have to be able to provide that whole package. You can't sort of expect a community to have sort of the robot come in, print the walls, leave, then the floor gets placed by a third party, and then they come back with the robot. They have to be able to deliver that whole thing. So it all falls within their scope of work on this project.
Okay, so along with that, are they being used for individual homes?
What?
What
The
you're
Com
talking about?
Slab? No.
The 3D printing of the.
Oh yeah, no. We want to do that job in that Gananoque was a townhouse project, right?
Mhm.
I think once we get this apartment building done, I think we want to take a look at single family houses, like 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. That would be the next step for us to take a look at that as well.
So would they be comparable in price to what the going rate is now?
I think so. Like with this apartment building, again, we're at $290 a square foot, which is pretty competitive. I know some of the modular stuff that's getting built in Toronto, it's coming in like at $450, $500 a square foot. Like it's crazy. So, but I think once we get better at it and the technology gets married, we're looking at really doing everything we can to kind of drive the price down.
Okay, last question is, how long are these expected to last, these buildings?
Well, we sort of pride ourselves in 7-generation planning. So if we reproduce every 20 years or so, we're looking at a life cycle that's like 140 years when you compare it to the 3 or 4 years that they're getting up north from our 2000 housing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Go ahead, Alina.
Can you describe the land currently and where exactly this is going to be, and then how it's going to look after, like the parking?
I did bring only one copy of the site plan, unfortunately, but I don't know whether it shows. Can we go back to that?
Where the entrance and egress routes are going to be?
Yeah.
And then I have a follow-up question.
I don't know if it shows very well in this presentation. I don't think so. There's no site plan. I did bring one here to show the drawing that accompanied our water service application. So I don't know whether. Just 11 by 17. But this shows sort of its relation to Fourth Line and where we're coming in and sort of the site plan with the parking.
And then my second question was, these are rentals?
Yeah.
So who is profiting from the rent?
Who's profiting?
Yeah.
Well, I guess me. But to get so the way we're financing this thing is we got a grant from NGen to develop the robot and the formulation. We're looking at about a $6.2 million long-term loan from CMHC to finance the thing. Part of the financing included we had to have 30% of the units designated at an affordable housing rate, which gets determined by the average rate of apartment buildings in Brantford. But it does turn a net profit.
So Horizon Legacy is not profiting from the rent?
We have an understanding with them that as soon as they don't want to be in the rental business, right? So I've got an understanding with them that they would take the bulk of the first few years of net profit, and I would buy them out basically. So it would become my project.
So is that to say that for the first few years, they would be the majority owner of this?
No. I would direct the net profit. So I think the figure that we've come up with is 500. They want $500,000 after the project gets built. Like most of the grant money is getting directed to them because they're developing the new robot. They're working on the formulations. We're getting a small piece of that to put the drawings together, but they're taking the bulk of it.
Okay. What was the grant through? Was it?
No, Horizon.
The grant was through where? Sorry?
NGen it's called, which I guess is short for Next Generation or something. It's a federal program that typically funds kind of like, they mostly fund manufacturers to incorporate new technology. That's what they do. But for us, they looked at this pilot project.
Okay.
Go ahead, Hazel.
Brian, will that be located in front of
The hoop houses?
yeah?
Yeah. It's in the southeast corner of the lot.
So you did mention too that you intend to build more
We'd like-
houses.
yeah.
What location will those all?
Oh, we're not really sure. I think like I've talked to like Kurt Stiers, I've talked to Scott Smith. These guys are kind of interested and they have a lot of land, but they kind of want to see it, right? Like they want to see it, they want to be able to touch it, feel it, make sure it performs. So I think there's a few people that are interested in technology. So I can't really tell you where the next one would go.
And just one more question. I don't know if it's right around to ask, but I'm going to ask anyway. A lot of people are complaining about the smell from off the crop that grows there. And if people are living in that area,
Yeah.
how do you intend to help them cope with that?
I think the guys are looking at filters. Like I can't really answer too many questions about the grow up because it's not really my thing, right?
Yeah,
I don't
understand. Yeah.
But I understand they're doing what they can to mitigate the smell. I live downwind from Grand River Enterprises, right? I have to still smell stink tobacco like just about every day.
Yeah.
So I know these smells are kind of like an issue. I don't know. I think they're going to do what they can to kind of filter it out. I don't know what how successful that technology is going to be. I'm on site probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week, and there's really nothing that's that pungent from my standpoint. But again, I think it's an individual thing.
Yeah, I just want to make a further comment to the fact that I know down on Third Line where there's those industrial areas, and I know that the people that live within those close proximity, like they do also complain about the smells that they have to
Mhm.
entertain every day, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the community could definitely stand an odor bylaw.
Yeah.
And a dust bylaw for that matter. Dust from the speedway. I'd like an odor bylaw from Grand River Enterprises. I don't want to smell tobacco every day.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, have you informed all the people around that area that, what you're building?
No,
Have you
No.
put signs up?
no, we haven't.
Would that be a good neighbor policy to start something like that?
Sure, if that's part of the development policy of Six Nations, we'd be happy to comply with anything you guys put forward.
But it would
The
be-
same way Glenn Stiers didn't talk to my parents when he put the speedway up, I think that would have been courteous too.
Mhm.
The same way that Grand River Enterprises didn't say anything when they put their 600,000 square foot factory up.
Okay, but this is moving forward as a good neighbor.
Moving forward as a good neighbor. I think that's why we're here. Like, I mean, we've got nothing to hide. Well, you know, the only person that's come up to me and asked anything of me personally is Lori Miller. And I sat down with her for a couple hours and kind of explained what we were doing. I gave her a copy of this presentation. You know, I went to that community meeting that was put on, that Dave General chaired, and I sat there from the beginning to the end, and I didn't get one question. I made sure I sat by the door so everybody could see me.
I didn't see it.
You saw me.
Like at
You
the end
pointed
of
my,
parking-
you
in
pointed
the
your finger
parking
at
lot.
me. And
Yes. Hey, listen, I gave you a nice face.
Go ahead, Elena.
Which of the funding, streams did you apply for? I see a bunch here. Was,
a bunch.
yeah,
It's just-
advanced manufacturing technology.
Say,
There's all,
say again, sorry.
through NGen for the grant.
We checked a few of the boxes from NGen, but they're a single funding source.
Okay, yeah, just my concern is the ones that I've checked, you have to be an indigenous organization to
Mhm.
apply for that. So your organization applied, yet Horizon Legacy is the one that has greatly benefited from.
I don't make the rules. Like, it's a 50-50 project to split. We complied with NGen's rules, and we're complying with CMHC's rules as well.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dale.
So Brian, your units are all focused on single, not like individuals, married couples, not children or nothing, right? Because they're single bedrooms and studio units?
I think that's fair to say, yeah, that we're not focusing on families with this one.
Mhm. Now, the other question I got is in relation to that technology, because they're developing it. Where's the historical data in relation to the structural integrity, I guess, of all of the components, because everything's gonna be all, assume concrete from ground to the top.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is there historical data on it in relation to the technology, or is it being used someplace else, somewhere in the world, or what?
It's being used elsewhere in the world, not so much here, but we've partnered with McMaster University. So we're pre-printing a lot of our wall types. We're sending it there for testing. We've hired probably the best structural engineer in Canada, Blackwell Engineering, to help us with the project. So we're working our way through that.
And the final question, I guess, just in relation to knowing what's going on with that area, like, is this thing gonna be a segregated, gated community, separate from everything else, only one way in, out, you gotta have a car, like, how's that all gonna be managed in relation to
Yeah, like
flow?
we're separating right now. Like, it's got its own separate entry gate. We've identified a separate plot. You know, there will be fencing to separate the apartment building from the grow-op in behind. It's not there yet, but it will be.
But there's only one gate just coming to the road though, correct?
There's only one right of way, yeah, that comes to Fourth Line.
Correct, right. Thanks.
Anyone else with questions, comments? Leslie?
Hi, Brian. I haven't met you before, but my name is Leslie. Okay, I have a question. In a way, I'm thinking of worst case scenarios at the same time and looking at the strengths. But my curiosity would be knowing that we sometimes have emergencies. Those emergencies involve, okay, so there's a business up front, big manufacturing business, right? And then you got this residential area right there. So if something were to happen, how big, when you talk about an access, how big is that access and how, is it 2 lane, 3 lane?
It's two lane, it's 20 feet wide for its entire length. I think Chiefswood 22, so we're 2 feet less wide than Chiefswood Road.
So just a few questions, just two more. This is sort of unprecedented, right? Here at Six Nations and practically almost as far as you can look, an unprecedented building in terms of building this style, which I'm impressed by. I just wonder if if all that weight is in there, you know, that weight of concrete, and is it going to hold? I know it's got your steel beams and things like that.
Yeah.
But like, is it like when he was talking about integrity and that? I
Yeah.
also am thinking about that in terms of it's going to be on the ground,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And it's on a slab.
Yep.
And is what's the in the worst case scenario if that begins to fail? What then? What's plan B? I know there's plan A. That's this what we're looking at. It looks perfected, but there's always got to be a plan B.
No, there is no plan B. It's the same like with a parking garage, right? Like a parking, like the slab on grade has to carry the weight of the robot, right? So we're gonna print the ground floor, place the second floor slab, lift the robot, put it on the second floor. So that floor has to be capable of carrying about 6,000 kilograms. That's the weight of the robot as it transfers across. And once that's done, like the live load from people in refrigerators and furniture, like pales in comparison to the weight of carrying the robot. That's our biggest challenge, is to develop a floor system that can carry the live load of the robot as it travels across the upper floor slabs. So we've got lots of safety factor once everything's completed.
Go ahead, Audrey.
Okay, one last question. So you've got 3 floors, correct? So what are the plans for ambulances, fire, any kind of emergency, and parking?
Well, I think the one thing is like our access is, we've sized it so that it's, a fire truck can access the site, right? The other thing is we're completely non-combustible construction, and all of the demising walls between the units are this printed concrete, right? So every unit is basically separated from another by a firewall. So we would be way more safe than, say, like Iroquois Lodge, which is made out of wood. Just about, we're going to have better sound ratings and better life safety than any of the apartments that are here now. There's nothing to burn. Like, the worst thing that could happen was you could have a fire within one of the units, right? Like, say somebody's clothes start on fire or somebody's couch catches fire. But it's going to be contained within that unit because it's completely surrounded by concrete. There's no way for it to get out.
Can you just turn your mic on?
Thank you. What about elevators? Do you have elevators?
No.
If somebody
no.
has a heart attack up there, how are they going to get the ambulance?
No, we didn't put an elevator in this one. We put all of our accessible units on the ground floor. And we're thinking that people would walk up 2 floors. So you'll have to be able-bodied to occupy the upper floors. We're getting all of our barrier-free and accessible units on the ground floor only.
So is there room for a stretcher to go up and save somebody's life on the 3rd floor?
It falls within all of the building code requirements for a 3-story building.
So your answer is yes?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Cynthia?
Rob.
I totally don't understand that 3D printing. Remember during COVID, people were making masks and all that. I probably should have Googled it and read up about it, but I didn't. It was just like, I don't even want to know. So when you're talking about a building with 3D concrete, is there any will there be any construction workers, or is it all the work done by the robot?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to develop a system where we can do insulated envelopes. And if you think about some of those northern communities, that would give them the opportunity to come in, do frame all of the light gauge and non-load bearing partitions. They could do the millwork, they could do the painting, they can do the flooring, they can hang all the doors. So the idea is to get something that's going to hold construction heat over those few months that they have to build up there. The other thing is, like, Ontario and Canada is experiencing a huge labor shortage, right? So you've got companies like Ellis Don looking at modular, like everyone's trying to find ways to get the skilled labor down in these buildings just because that there's such a shortage, right? So we're kind of thinking along those same lines with this.
Use your mic.
Pilot here, will there be any workers, construction workers? And I explained up north the idea, but here,
Yeah.
will there be,
Yes.
or is it all like robot?
We have got, so Horizon is gonna do the load-bearing walls, the slab-on-grade concrete, the intermediate floor slabs and the roofs, right? But we're still gonna have a conventional heating, ventilating, and air conditioning contractor. We're still gonna have a conventional electrician. There's still going to be work for people to do light gauge framing, hang drywall, all the interior doors. So there is a labor component to it. You know, we're going to hire a roofer. We're going to be purchasing windows probably from Cayman, and someone will have to install those. So there is a labor component to it, but the idea is to get the shell up as quick as possible, something that can hold construction heat.
Now, on this project, is there, and it was a grant, the grant portion was for this robot, if I understood, and then a RBC for the 6.2 CMHC. Is there a requirement, given that it's coming from the government, and it was identified as an indigenous community, you said?
Yep.
Is there a requirement to have so many, like, indigenous Six Nations employees?
There isn't, but we're working on federal projects in Ottawa, Toronto, where they've put on this 5% target for Indigenous procurement, right? And we're going to be way above that. You know, like Middleport Mechanical's probably going to do the HVAC. Kurt owns half that company, right? Gord Hill's probably going to be involved. Like we're going to be way above 5%. If I had to guess what the percentage of Indigenous involvement is going to be, I'd probably say 20, 25 off the top.
Okay. A couple more. Go ahead, Elena, then Leslie.
Does CMHC provide which units, and is it 30% of the units that have to be affordable housing? And do they provide if that has to be mixed, or if you get to choose, and if you do get to choose, which units will be affordable?
I think that if you, like, it has to be split evenly amongst the unit types, but that's the only condition that I'm aware of.
So you would be like a 3, 3, and a 3.
Well, we've got 21 bedrooms. 6 of those are fully accessible, and we've got 10 studios or bachelors. So we would have to take that 30% and divide them evenly amongst those 3 different unit type styles.
Okay. Leslie?
Yeah, I was just thinking futuristically, and I heard you speaking about the Pearson International Airport. Is there any plans to put in like a heliport or any air aviation?
Not currently, no.
Okay. Is it in the talks at all?
No, we haven't. It hasn't been talked about.
Okay, and when you talk about a heating system, sorry, this is just the second question, and you talked about Middleport Mechanical, the potentially to get that done. So, what kind of system and that heating? Are we talking about gas? Are we talking about?
It's like a heat pump system. It's kind of like the units that you're seeing in some of these more recent kind of hotel buildings, like the ones say on Garden Avenue by the Tim Hortons there. It's all electric, so they're kind of like their units. They have an air intake, they have an exhaust, but they're 100% electric. Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation, Brian. I just had a question about the about the land in what's the relationship with like the Legacy Horizon, because they're funding it, I believe. So
Funding it? Sorry.
are they involved in any of the part of the development of the project at all?
Well, we're trying to put a head lease on, right? And that's probably what I talked to Lori the most about, right? So the head lease is the thing that frees up long-term financing from CMHC for a certificate of possession holder. It's done a lot out west, not done so much in Ontario, but that's the mechanism that we're using to free up that long-term financing.
Is that a an ISK requirement?
Yeah.
And where's the council's position in that
I don't know. Where's council's position?
on all these land working with ISK?
My understanding is as long as I know out west, a council could veto a project if, say, they didn't have, like, if you guys didn't have water capacity for this, if the project was going to be too big that you couldn't supply the water, then there would be an issue, right? Or if we were using natural gas, that might be another thing that would give council cause to kind of sort of slow down the project.
One last question. Yeah, and how long is the lease?
The lease, I think we're going to position it to be 30 years, but as I'm saying, like I was saying, my goal is to get rid of Horizon as soon as possible so that we can chuck it.
Elena?
Speaking of water consumption, what is the water consumption for a 30 unit?
It would be about the same as your subdivision at Stone Ridge. It's I don't have the number of liters off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
Would it be somewhere in the vicinity of 1.2 million gallons per year?
Geez, I don't know. I don't have that info at the top of my head.
And when you spoke to Public Works about the
Probably be similar to your old age, the apartment building over by social services. How many units is that?
I'm not sure, but those things are pre-existing, right? Like this is new, so it would be an additional tax on the system.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you could get that.
And the water treatment system's pretty much designed to do the whole reserve, so it's going to be a drop in the bucket to what the capacity of your water treatment plant is.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you.
Okay, Danielle, she has a question, I guess. Do you want to come to the to a mic so people can hear you? That one's fine. Thank you.
So I heard a lot of, I think you said that it was $6.2 million. I wanted to know, first of all, why Two Row Architect wasn't on the application that was provided, and the only signature on it was Horizon Legacy. That's one part. The other part is I want to know for organizations such as that, applying for funding for housing on a reserve, why it wasn't brought to council prior. The other question I have is that there is no fencing on my side of the property. And also talk to lands membership. So that land behind is not severed. So that whole parcel of land, including the 183 greenhouses, is all one parcel of land still, that it hasn't been severed. And the other part is the air filter. You talked about that you wanted single families and seniors to live in there. And I think that that's a little derogatory to think that when you have a grow up there and you want to house senior citizens there where there are no stairs or there are no elevators, they do get hurt, they have heart conditions or whatever. I think futuristically, I really like what La had said about thinking of the land as well, because we do have the gypsum plant that's continuously mining underneath, and then you have the weight of this on top of it. There's a few questions that go with that, but back to the seniors living there, and you think that they're putting in a good filtration system. My house stinks like weed, cannabis, because it's coming in through the fan in my bathroom. And I'm a little bit further away than this building that you're building. Do I think we need housing? Absolutely. I'm not against housing at all, but I don't think that I would want any of you living in that spot where the greenhouses are. And I think that that is something that you should really consider and think about. And I'm just wondering, your applications, your name's not on the application at all, Brian. It's all public record. So I wonder how many of those units are going to be housed by Six Nations community members, and how can the community guarantee that? How can you guarantee that?
I lost track
Okay.
of your questions. There's about 10 there.
Yeah, there's lots.
So what's the first one? There's one spot for a name. I mean, we've got legal documentation to show that we're like that there's, Anita say, is a 50-50% split between Horizon and Two Row. It didn't matter to me whether I signed it or whether Young signed it.
And you said that it was 6.2 million?
That's what the amount of the long-term financing that we want to secure from CMHC is, yes.
That you want to, or you have?
No, we're in negotiations with
So the
them.
total of the project's $9.9 million.
3.8 plus 6.2.
Yeah, 9.954232 is what's online. So
We must have rounded up.
9.954232. The other thing is, like, how,
What was the next question?
I don't know, I have a lot. I think that would have been a really good opportunity for you to have your own community meeting and let the community and the neighbors talk or ask questions. I said there was no fencing on my side of the property, so how are you going to guarantee people aren't cutting through?
Are you talking about from the housing development?
Yeah, like it's a stone throw away from my house, so.
Well, as soon as we start to get above ground, yeah, we're going to put our fencing in.
And then with all the laborers you're having, the laborers coming into work, there's not very many Six Nations laborers back there now. You have Shoot back there now.
Mhm.
So there's
Right.
not very many Six Nations
Right.
people working for you.
Not at the moment.
No. And then the smell has to be something that you should be really targeting. You keep
I
saying,
think-
I think there's a
it'll-
filtration.
Part of our intake policy when we select renters for the property, I mean, they're gonna know that they're beside a grow up. It's not gonna be any surprise to them. It'll be part of our rental policy.
How are you going to even monitor the sharing of the spaces? I live right there, right?
Monitor.
Yeah, if there's shared living spaces, people are gonna fight, people come in drunk, people whatever, you got young, you got old, like,
We're gonna
what's,
do the same way any other apartment building does it.
but they don't have a shared living space.
You talking, yeah, most do. Like, I think every condominium's got, fitness rooms, workout rooms. A lot of rental properties have amenity space. They have rooms you can rent out for birthday parties. Like, we're gonna do it the same way any mainstream apartment would do it.
So with all the questions that Danielle has, is it fair to say, is she able to contact you to
Sure, yeah.
continue, or
Yeah.
the neighbors around there?
Anybody,
To-
like, I just live down there.
Mhm. To continue
our
to ask the
website.
questions that she has? Mhm.
Anybody that's asked a question, like, I'm just surprised there's so few people coming up to me asking me questions.
But you're,
Lori Miller's been the only one.
yeah, but you're okay with that?
Yeah,
though?
absolutely, yeah.
For that to happen. Go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Danielle asked, with the signature. If you didn't care about who signed it, then why didn't you sign it? You, by letting this other guy sign it, is giving him permission to come on Six Nations with that construction.
I don't, what Anita say is a partnership between Turo Architect and Horizon. It doesn't matter to me who signs an application. We're 50-50 partners. I could have signed it, but doesn't matter to me, Audrey. I don't care. What matters to me is that we get the money from Engine so we can do this good work. That's
But
what
it's
matters.
what looks good for Six Nations, not having somebody who's a non-member to
I'm not
sign for that.
interested in that. I'm not interested in it. I couldn't care less who signs the Engine application. I care that we've got this money to further this technology, to try to do something that can help some of the communities in the north. That's what I care about.
Well, I care.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for your presentation. And again, if anyone has any more questions, Brian is wanting to talk with you. So again, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for the invite.
Can I have?
I'm not sure, does this, so we applied for the water, right? To Public Works, and that's when we, Mike Mentor said, you've been requested to come to council. So we're here and we presented. So does that mean that our application can get processed now, or?
Head down.
I think you coming here tonight, Brian, was information. So it's just general information that we're receiving, and that's probably what we're gonna make the motion on, just to receive it as general information. Has nothing to do with your application with Public Works, anything. It's just information you're sharing with us on your project.
So it should go through like any other application then?
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is we're accepting your project as information, and I don't know what the implications that to our Public Works
Are you
will
on
have.
Public Works?
Am I on Public Works? No.
Oh,
Okay.
Who's the portfolio holder?
Yeah, I am that's what I'm saying, but they report to my committee, and we can ask that question with Mike.
Because we're anxious to know what we need to do next.
Okay, I mean, we can ask him, see, but.
Okay.
So again, can I have a mover to accept this information? Mover, moved by Leslie, second by Cynthia. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. One last thing, Daniel?
Yes, just one last question. The water line was put in through Jordan's principal's money. That was to go to all the schools first, and it was for the kids. So not every family has water. So I think that should be something that should be taking into consideration, that there will be no children living in this dwelling, and that the rest of the community that has children still need water. I'm one of them. So I just thought that would be noted.
Thank you.
I don't think I ever said there wouldn't be any children living in it, right? Like, we've got 1-bedroom apartments. If there's a single mother that's got some kids and wants to take one of these 1-bedroom apartments, like that's a great tenant for us. I didn't ever say that there wouldn't be children there. You know, if
Yep.
there's a single mother that isn't worried about the smell from marijuana, which is far less dangerous than cigarette smoke or cigarette fumes.
Okay,
Like I didn't say there was never
Yeah.
gonna be kids there.
okay. Thank you again for coming in, and let's move on, council.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Let's go to number 7, Chief's update. So the Chief's office has secured meetings at the 2025 AMO conference with the Minister of Transportation and Ontario opposition leaders with the Liberal Party, Green Party, and also NDP Party. The Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks and Ministry of Health have declined our request to meet, citing volume of requests and time constraints. Manitoba Evacuee Welcome Day. As many know, wildfires displaced over 1,500 First Nations members from the Manitoba. First Nations welcomed the evacuees that have been staying in hotels in Niagara Falls to our territory on July 29th. The day included a graduation ceremony for 10 high school graduates, archery demonstrations, traditional dancing and singing, and more activities for children and families. Nyawa to Grand River Insurance for their donation. Nyawa to all those who donated. The evacuees received gentle use clothing, footwear, suitcases, and hygiene products. The evacuees were very appreciative of Six Nations for hosting this event, and many shared that they didn't want to leave Six Nations. Indigenous Service Canada, ISC, monthly newsletter for July 2025 is now available. Highlights from this issue included age-appropriate educational resources for teachers and educators to share with students around substance abuse. Can be found at healthcanadaexperiences.ca, and notice that internal restructuring as Indigenous Service Canada is undergoing internal changes to the organizations to increase efficiency and improve service delivery. On July 31st, I was invited to Laurier University to tour the Brantford campus. The focus of this meeting was on our priorities and how Laurier can better support our community and their educational and our educational needs. Community engagement, illegal dumping. I attended the community meeting on July 31st, hosted by Six Nations Justice and Environment Departments on potential revisions of the waste bylaw. On Sunday, July 20th, I welcomed and shared early morning remarks to 75 paddlers who were on the five of the 2-row journey, grand journey. That's a mouthful. I also joined the paddlers for 11K paddle that day. The 2-row on the Grand ended on Friday, July 25th in Port Maitland. I'd like to offer congratulations to the founders on their 10th anniversary of 2-row on the Grand. On July 21st, I was able to welcome 6 youth and 4 staff from Constance Lake First Nations to a 4-day youth exchange program. Six Nations youth, along with support staff, will visit Constance Lake in September for 4 days to complete the exchange. This work is supported by the Wellbeing and Social Services Department. On July 24th, I traveled to Delhi to visit with our elders. It was nice to see their smiling faces and to visit with them. I wish to thank again all the staff for doing your very best in making this difficult transition period as smooth as possible. Is a mover to accept as information? Moved by Leslie, second by Elena. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Go ahead, Tracy, the CEO updates.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I've been here for 2 months now. Seems like much longer. I've been very busy. There's been, as you know, many things happening in the community. I've been focusing on familiarizing myself with the organization overall, working with some of what council's priorities are, taking direction from them, and assisting with streamlining some of our processes, as well as visiting our departments and ensuring that I'm familiar with what it is that most of our departments or all of our departments are involved with. That would include supporting them, that would include understanding what they're doing, how we can further them with their goals, and what we can do to further, I guess, the growth of their departments. As you well know, we have been in a state of emergency since June the 18th. That has been also a big part of my time. We have displaced staff. We have community members who require assistance. And we are just now getting to the assessment and remediation of many of our SNGR assets. So we're still going through and trying to assess that and working on the best way forward with as many of those projects as possible. So I look forward to meeting and working with as many of the community members as I'm able to. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can always contact me through Brooke, and she'll make sure that I get the information. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tracy. Is there a mover to accept the CEO's update? Moved by Hazel, second by Leslie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 9.1, the data governance for an update. Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you. So the Data Governance Committee was scheduled to meet on July 22nd. That has been postponed. As I was participating on the 2-row on the Grand, I participated on the 9 days of the 10, and out of the 10 days, the paddlers went 142 Ks for the 10th anniversary of 2-row on the Grand. I mean, it was unbelievable, truly, for their 10th anniversary. There was a lot of film crews as well and drones and to document the event. So I'm sure they're in the works of making a documentary to really show the community what exactly this event is going to be. So that was really good to see. So with that being said, it was rescheduled for July 29th. But July 29th, we did reschedule it again, as that was the Manitoba Evacuee Welcoming Day for our graduates coming in. So I know the counselors and everyone participated to give a Six Nations welcome and graduation ceremony for those high schoolers. But with all that being said, we'll go ahead and continue on for August 19th Data Governance Committee as scheduled. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Dean. So let's go to number 2, the Education, Language, and Culture Committee. Go ahead, Audrey.
Thank you very much. We had our meeting on July the 23rd. We're just working on roles right now, and we're reviving our lifelong learning phase 2. We're looking at the possibility of hiring some new people to start working on that. There'll be a lot of engagement with the community as well as people who are in the education field. So we also have Claudia Venevri Albert, who is the trustee for Grand Erie, and she'll be a member of our group, and will be presenting an update from Grand Erie at all of our meetings. The final minutes haven't come out yet, so when they do, I'll present those at our next meeting or give them to our full council. So we're working on a lot of things, and we're revamping a lot of things, and we have done so much work. But as of last November 8th, we ran out of money. And it's been really hard to try and write proposals to get more funding. So we're doing the best we can right now. We've got all kinds of reports done. We need to get those reports now, and we need to make some recommendations and take them out to the community to see what it is that the community wants to do with education. So it's been a long, hard process. I know it's been tried about 4 or 5 times so far with no success. And this is the longest that this has gone. And it's taken a lot of people, a lot of work to get to this point. So I want to keep the momentum going so that we can make sure that this education is in good hands for the next 7 generations. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Can I have a mover to accept this information? Yeah. I just want to move. Just a mover first. Moved by Leslie, seconder. Second by Dean. Go ahead, questions?
When you, Audrey, this is directed to you. When you speak about the community wanting to do what they want to do with education, it's a wide open, right? So can you narrow that down in terms of what areas you're looking at, what age groups?
The funding that we've received so far from Indian Affairs, from ISC, Indigenous Service Canada, is for JK to grade 12. But the lifelong learning goes from cradle to sunset years, but we don't have funding for that. And that's one of the things that we hope to get in the future. Thank you.
Okay. So it's been moved in second as information. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 3, Unity Building and External Government Relations and Justice.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. As you know, we've had 2 community engagement sessions this past week and 2 weeks, and we would like to thank the community for coming out and giving your feedback as we get close to finishing up the amendments and solidifying the waste management bylaw. I would like to thank the organizers as well, Tim Bucci, Jill Hill, and of course, Sarah Curley-Smith for organizing that. This is often very, very important feedback, and then we use that actually to finalize and formulate the bylaw. So thanks again, community, for coming out and, of course, giving your feedback. I had like to also reiterate what the chief and Dean has been saying. Selena LaPonce and Wanda Begedy, these are the 2 organizers for the trip, the graduation ceremony that we had for our First Nations brothers and sisters from Manitoba that are more or less stranded over there in Niagara Falls, far from their home. They did want me to send thank you directly to the community and for all your support. And of course, like the chief said, they didn't want to leave, but they do want to come back. And I know that they will be here probably until September, maybe near the maybe the end of September. The total number at one point was 1,500 evacuees there. And of course, they really did appreciate the culture that we were able to provide for them. Thank you, Joe, for that. And again, they would really like to come back. And of course, we do have an event coming up, of course, our fall fair. And it's something I think they would enjoy. So thank you, Chief.
Can I have a mover to accept Greg's update? Moved by Hazel, second by Leslie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Okay, can I, number 10 is a motion to adjourn. Is there a mover? Moved by Leslie, seconder. Second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Thank you for joining us tonight, everyone, and have a great night.